Maybe we should, there's some kind of order that, rather than sitting here yelling at each other. So I guess we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're calling the meeting to order. Next item is roll call. Linda, would you start us, please?
Sure. Linda Dennis.
Donald Shagan.
Gunter Hubert.
Larry Schissel.
Okay.
No Barry.
Apparently not.
He's not. Whose driveway's drivable?
No excuses there.
It's downhill.
Right. So next item is agenda review. Does anybody have anything to?
The only thing is,
Yeah.
remove the treasurer's report, and I will try to get to Paul tomorrow, and I'll email it. You don't have to discuss it or anything, but at least you all can see it.
That would be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just maybe remove that, basically, but I'm gonna work on getting that tomorrow.
Okay.
And if time permits, towards the end or sometime, I'd like to discuss that, our takeaways from the informational meeting about the well.
Mhm.
And I may just add a little bit about what I attended the second and third sessions of the New Hampshire Association's online wetlands training.
Okay. So I have a comment, question about the agenda. All of a sudden dawned on me, most agendas I've seen contain sections for old business and new business. And I'm wondering, has ours ever had old business and new business, and the old business section just got locked off
I
somehow?
could go check again on the rules of procedure, but I believe I'm following the exact setup. Now, of course, you could vote to change the rules of procedure and add old business,
Mhm.
which isn't a bad idea. Most of my other agendas have, well, most.
Well, I'd say that many of these things are old business.
Correct, that's what
So,
made that
I don't
made
know
me.
that we have to vote on a rules
Well,
for it.
I could always just write under, it's under new business.
I
I could
think
always
she's
write
thinking-
next to it, continued.
Rules of procedure may call for this,
Oh, yeah.
This setup.
this
I don't-
setup.
Oh. But
I
I
never
could still
remember
write
getting the rules.
continued.
No, I don't either, but-
Continued from previous months, or we could change the agenda, and it would be easy to re-sign those rules of procedure with just changing the setup of your agenda.
Yeah, to me that makes
It would be
sense
very easy
instead
to
of
just re-sign it again and resubmit
putting
it.
old business under new business
Just
doesn't
a,
make sense.
just a suggestion, instead of going through all of that, if you could put the new business either at the bottom, last, or at the beginning, and then have all of the old business lumped together, so that you're not doing new, old, new, old.
Absolutely.
You mean as...
That was my thinking, right, have a section for old business.
Well, no, without saying the word
Without
new
saying, it is
business,
lumped
without
that
saying
way.
old.
It is kind of
Oh.
lumped that way.
Unless it's something that can be done as housekeeping
Mm-hmm.
and format, and that I don't know.
I already
Does
had it
anyone have
lumped
the rules of
together. The
procedure?
dark ones are new business and the other ones are
I don't know if we
continued.
can peruse that quickly.
Actually,
know.
that's not true. The
To me, it makes the agenda easier to review, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it seems like a no-brainer.
And there's a lot of things that do carry over month to month.
Absolutely.
So I agree, and so the Barton letter's old business, the NRI's old business, the
Yep.
DOT is new business, Moose is new, no, Moose is continued, sort of, because and Ron is new. So you're right, it would make all,
So if there's nothing that speaks to
no,
how
it's-
the agenda is written in our
It's-
rules of procedure, I would make a motion to,
is it in there?
I'm looking just quickly.
You could make a motion just for me to change it, and if
That's what I was
it's in the
gonna
rules of
suggest.
procedure, I'll just change it there too and have you re-sign.
Either
Really
way-
nothing in the rules of procedure that talk about how the meetings are conducted. Our meetings and hearings,
Thanks.
number 8, regular meetings are the third Wednesday of the month. additional meetings if workload requires, postponements. B, special meetings. C, public notifications. D, forum hearings.
So you don't have any, usually they have
There's
agenda set
nothing in
up.
there that specifies how we actually conduct the business.
So either way, we could have a motion to make the change.
Or you don't have
Would
to.
rather it's just,
If
Oh,
it's-
yeah,
If it's not in it.
Yeah, it wouldn't require a vote to change the rules.
right,
So different format, housekeeping.
yeah, okay. So I would make a motion to have a section that's just headed old business.
Would you like that prior to new business or
Yes,
after new
I
business?
would like that, that
Okay.
would be my motion. Get old business out of the way and then jump to new business. And every month, the agenda will have items that are carried over from previous meetings under old business,
Yep,
and anything that is added and has not been spoken about before,
yes,
that goes under new business.
sounds good.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next agenda item is supposed to be Moosewood Ecological. I talked to Jeff.
Well, what about the minutes? Pardon me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, you could.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. Yep, okay, the minutes from February?
February 15.
Yep, February 15. Are we, should take a
To
vote?
approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I do have a comment though about minutes. The minutes from February state that an email will be sent around to the members with the updated minutes from December. Remember there was a change and it's under minutes from
Right.
last month's meeting. I don't recall seeing those. Were they sent around and I just missed them? Does anybody know?
I didn't send them, so there were updated, corrected December minutes. I did not forward you to them, but I'm sure she forwarded them to me, so I can do that also, email tomorrow.
That'd be-
Updated December minutes, email.
I will send them to you again.
I probably have them.
That way we'll
Christina,
have
it's
the
so
official
far down in
version.
your list.
I know. Updated December, thank you, if you could, to make sure. They must
Yeah.
be the approved minutes.
Right.
Okay.
The only change was including
December minutes.
Including
Dr.
Dr. Shishel.
under Yeoman's property and that. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So we're on to new business, Moosewood Ecological. Jeff called me, he had every intention of coming here, but I guess he miscalculated. He had a knee replacement and he wasn't able to drive, and he thought he would be able to by now, and he wasn't. And he was planning on doing it by Zoom from his home, and his power's out. Right. So I told him, no problem, we'll get together at some point. I did update him on what we learned at that select board meeting on the funding. And Christina, I don't know if anybody ever mentioned it to you.
I watch all the meetings.
You
so
did?
I found out,
Okay.
I found it interesting because why didn't anyone tell us? That it's been back and, it's like craziness.
Mhm.
You know, the back and forth, and then now all of a sudden, no, you don't need it. So I'm sorry, but yeah, I found out because I watched BOS meetings.
Right.
In essence, it's a good thing. I put it, if you want to talk, do you want to talk about, I did speak to Hunter about that, the NRI, and it would be nice to have Barry here too, but he's like, why don't they have quotes, I said, because they said they won't quote online or to be videotaped. He goes, well, that makes sense. And I said, once they got the money, they would then put their top wants and the people would quote on how much that would cost, whatever, and then they pare it down to fit the money they get. And so I thought, based on that BOS meeting, that they want an invoice, which is pretty far away. June 30th, we need an invoice for,
We need, my understanding, Christine, is that we need to put out an RFP send them to contractors that provide this service,
Mm-hmm.
get their RFP responses back, we evaluate them, and then we have to sign a contract before the end of this fiscal year.
And you have to have an invoice, yes, yes, exactly, but you can easily to produce a check for it, yes. Has
Well,
to-
doesn't an invoice, I mean, my past experience is the invoice comes once the services are rendered.
Yeah, that-
This is before the services are rendered. Excuse me.
That's in theory too, but to get it, I think it has to be, I think we might have a little bit of lead time, but there is a time when the books do fully close. So they could cut the check and we could hold it, but it's taken out of this year's funds, do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But,
Right.
so yes, we should get 3 quotes, or you should, and you guys should decide on what you want, and then see what they come back with, and then based on what, since no one will really tell us, and then pare it down if need be.
Right. Well, that's on our agenda
Yes.
to deal with. So then I guess we can move on from Moosewood Ecological's presentation.
With one question, Jermaine, to what you were just saying. So we need to get our RFPs and sign a contract by June 30th, because the funding for this NRI would be coming out of the current budget and not,
They have the money, basically, they have,
okay,
that, you know.
so we're not dealing with the 23-24 budget.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what they need to do is they need to encumber the money so it gets carried over beyond the end of the fiscal year.
They want to spend
Yeah,
it.
that part, for some reason I thought this was going to be built into next year's budget, which isn't being,
I guess they have leftover money,
Yeah.
and,
So I believe, if I understood Barry correctly, for 2023-24 fiscal year, we will have an operating budget,
yeah, okay, yeah,
but the money for this has to be contracted,
okay.
okay?
the operating budget, I believe, if I heard correctly, was 1,200.
Yeah, 1,200, 1,250, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's-
1,200, yeah.
200.
So, and that will be a line item in, like most towns have, every year.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I know, absolutely.
That's amazing.
I have a question. Do we need to send out RFPs, or could we, if we're comfortable with a provider, select one person to do?
I think you can, I have to double check that. I think as long as it's under 25,000, you don't have to bid. It's considered almost too small. Now, they could want you to build regardless. I mean, are they comparable, or is someone like, I don't know, we haven't even,
I think we need to get quotes.
I think we like quotes. We'll
And-
spend
at least a
money
couple.
sensibly and,
I don't know Newport's purchasing policy, but I know in Lebanon, 3 quotes is pretty much
And
standard.
usually, I mean, because if I quoted everything.
Well, it's
I
not for
purchase
pens and pencils.
Right, but even, I don't even quote for that. I mean, you just can't quote for an order. I don't even know if anyone would give them for, I mean, under 5,000 for sure. I think the limit's typically 25, but yes, absolutely, anyone can do their due diligence on anything to go out for a number of quotes.
And the way I read these RFQPs, I don't know if you read the ones that I had sent out, but you can disqualify anybody for whatever reason, pretty much. So it doesn't have to be based solely on price? Because you're asking for their qualifications in addition to their proposals?
Okay.
Like, you're right, someone might be, have 40 years in the business, and someone might have 5. And if they're $1,000 more, that might be beneficial to
Right.
that.
Or we can call towns, municipalities, or other entities that have had experience with these providers and get their input, and if they had bad experiences, we just note that, and that could be used to disqualify them.
Okay.
Okay?
Who are the 3 that we're going to use? Do we
Well-
know that?
No. Do we know that? No. I don't know. The email I sent around from the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions contained a list
Uh-huh.
of providers for that service. Where did I put it? You have it?
I,
You have it there?
I think it is certainly as a courtesy, because they took their time to talk to us. Moosewood should be one of them.
Absolutely,
Right.
sure.
The group that spoke to us last month, Kevin Ryan, was it
FD Environmental. yeah.
FB Environmental? So I think there's at least, there's two.
And I saw, which I don't see on here,
You could also
One
say
of
that 3 is typically what you got for bid, but you could put out to 5 places. I mean,
Or-
you're asking for all the same thing.
or if there's only 2 that provide the service, you
Yeah.
send out 2.
Right, right.
One of the NRIs I read today, I think it was for the town of Warner, was done by the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests. And I don't see their name on this list, which I don't understand, but I did put a call into them today to find out if they do provide that service, and if so, get their address.
Yeah.
So Linda, did you see this by any chance?
Yes, I did.
You did, okay.
But I just was wondering whether we can decide tonight on which ones that will, to keep the process moving along.
Yeah, I think, this is open for discussion, but this is our next item. Oh, I'm sorry, no it isn't. Treasurer's report, that's being put off until,
I'm just gonna at least get it to
April?
email, and then I'll put it on the, if you think it's some, maybe I'll put it on if there's discussion needed. Okay.
I should take a step back, Ron DeCola was on
Well,
the agenda.
they're not here, and I even sent them the link to get on, so I could go try and call Ron.
Maybe he doesn't have power.
Yeah, he wasn't actually gonna be him, I think he was gonna have the engineer come on, who did the, where the where everything is on that map. So, really though, yeah, since March, April, so really, this is March, June's coming,
Like, we have to move.
yeah, we should, after the April meeting, I would say you wanna put it out to bid, and then or May, I guess, at least by the May,
Well, I'm
and
thinking
then,
as soon as possible. I mean, these things can take time. We've got to, we
I
have
don't wanna
to,
wait.
yeah, it's quick before, let me go see if I can get,
I
while
mean,
you guys discuss.
we have to give these people a certain length of time to review and come up with their RFP, so that could take a month.
I'd like to, I'd like to kind of settle on what we're interested in tonight.
Yeah,
If we can,
Get these
yes.
things out.
I agree.
Before the next meeting.
Okay, so where did Christina go?
She went to
So-
contact DeCola, see if
Oh,
he's
find out if
gonna-
Are we on that agenda item though, right now?
Which one, Larry?
Nicola?
That was this, we kind of skipped over that. We went
Yeah.
from Moosewood to Treasurer's report.
Well,
Skipping over treasurer's report.
Yeah.
obviously not here, but was primarily going to speak to the proposed Central Street project?
That's my
Or
understanding, right? Yes.
the project on Cross Street has already been approved.
I believe so.
And is going to
Yeah.
move forward.
And that was already brought before the Conservation Commission.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had asked Christina if, I can't remember, it was in passing somewhere, if I guess this is Ron DeCola, if the developer on Central Street was aware that that's within the shoreline protection zone, and she said she was gonna have him come to meet with us.
Yeah, because I think that's vital before the planning board signs off on it, because not only that, there are flood zone, and though the flood zone covers a lot of territory down there, like Salt Hill Pub is built
Right.
in the flood zone, but there's some pretty steep slope there, having been on that property, running through in the past and whatnot.
On the map, do you know which lot it is?
Yeah, that lot
Is-
is actually includes the.
All the
it-
wetlands?
It abuts Cross Street as well. So it's
Is it all in yellow?
this, see how this is 32, 32,
Oh, I see, yeah.
32, 32?
Oh, yeah.
So 32 goes all the way over to Cross.
So this is where,
That's the one we approved already.
right, and the other one is going in here?
Right.
Wow. That's really high.
So this is the one that we really want to get more information on because we can see that it's clearly within the shoreline protection zone.
Yeah,
So-
I think there's a lot of,
Yeah.
I really don't think that should be
I don't either.
passed by the planning board.
I don't
without-
either.
Without us signing off on it.
Yeah, I
I
think,
think we need to study
I
that.
think
They're looking to put a bridge over it.
I think their real obligation is to apply to the state for approval
Yeah,
for the work within that.
and we need to know that that's done.
That would be my thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So he owns all this land?
Including those islands,
Holy jeez.
and I
And
think
he-
it includes this.
Yeah, and he's
Everything
and
that's
he's
marked-
putting a bridge
Well, that
over
bridge is already there.
down in here?
Yeah.
It is?
It's marked,
Right.
it looks like it's marked with a couple of green.
Yeah,
It's because like Larry, I've walked back there before just out
Yeah.
of curiosity.
yeah.
And it's an old railroad bed, bridge.
Huh.
There's an old railroad bed runs through there,
Huh.
and it's really not much more than a couple of the girders, right? If I'm not,
Yeah, they
Mistaken?
could probably, what I remember of it, they could build on it, but it's not a serviceable bridge.
oh, they go, well.
No,
it would
it's,
be okay
it
for
looks like a
snowmobile.
walking bridge,
That's what they were gonna use it for.
Snowmobile
Just a-
bridge? Oh, walking bridge,
walking.
yeah.
What, I thought I had heard something about using it also as a means of getting equipment in. That's not the case?
No.
It says,
Walking up to the mill also, he had expressed that.
a proposed, there's Bridge 1 and Bridge 2.
I think it'd be nice to be able to get.
You have more information than we
folks
do.
on the other side of the
She
river.
just gave it to me.
Bridge, because
She just gave it to me because I was bitching and yelling. See?
It pays
So
the bitch
there,
and yell.
there you go.
Christina!
I know, that's all right, that's all right.
Down, of course.
I should have, so I did talk to Ron, and he says John is John's supposed to come in, and he goes, he's not, I go, and I texted you guys the link, which is on the agenda anyways, but he said, yeah, he's supposed to come on, so hopefully, he said he's texting John now, Ron is texting John.
Okay,
So so maybe we just keep going, and then hopefully John will come on.
I think that sounds
His
like a
name's
good,
John
good thing to do.
begins with an R, he's the engineer.
So on this map, it shows a New Hampshire DOT slope easement
That's
line.
because everything from there up to the road is
Steep.
very steep.
Oh,
Well,
so,
and DOT, you can't build within that, DOT has purview over that.
so this is where they're going, is in this parking lot, down in here, right here? The
You
park-
know where the new,
It's right across the street,
you know
Yeah.
where Soul Hill's new event building
Yeah.
is?
that's this,
Pretty much from there
Right,
over.
that's the event
Right.
building, so it's
Right.
really pretty back there, I've walked the land.
It is, but it's
stunning.
very tight to the river,
it is.
yeah.
I think that's a,
So I think our main concern is that they apply appropriately to the state.
But there could never be anything built there, I would never be occupied if it didn't have DES approval.
Mhm,
does
I mean,
it?
It would, not as of yet, I believe they have the application going.
mhm.
DOT is aware of it, because they got the approval for the driveway. But it has to be, they talk about DES and like all the feet away they have to be. They also, I think, have talked to DES, because they did want to make that bridge safe and walkable. And while you can cross it, you better be good on a balance beam now.
Right now.
Yeah, and and if it was deep water underneath, I might try it, but with it, it's shallow.
Yeah.
So, but that would be changing that structure to
Well,
a walking bridge, if they allowed it.
but,
That's the old railroad bed, so is that federally protected or is that state land
State.
now? State land, so the state has to say on
Absolutely.
two fronts, the Shoreline Protection Act
And the bridge.
and the bridge.
Yeah.
so this picture of the actual lot, there's a picture of the map.
Mhm.
Are they gonna deforestate that lot?
They would
I
have
mean,
to.
where the building lot is, but any further into this, are they going to? They're gonna cut down trees in here.
Is there a site plan on that?
Yeah.
There's very few, it does look like it's really, they're circling around the river. I think they're only building in this little front section. They've got the circle all the way through the river.
Yeah, if I interpreted the drawings correctly,
They're
that
just-
building is gonna basically come right to that line.
Right,
So
exactly,
it's gonna be right up against that bank.
right,
So it's gonna be
that
tight.
buffer, yeah.
But it still looks to me like it's gonna be within that 250 feet, 250-foot shoreline protection zone.
But they can't cut vegetation along that river.
Yeah, they can.
They
Don't forget,
can,
there's only that 50-foot buffer that,
Is a no-go zone.
right.
Is a no-go. Now, it is confusing because you're not supposed to even move earth without permission within the 250 feet. Actually, you're not supposed to move earth without permission from DES if you have a property that abuts the Sugar River. Even if you say you're out of the 250 feet, you have to let go and then they sign off on even that.
Mm.
Because there could be, if you're changing the topography, you could affect the runoff and everything.
I just don't understand this.
So I don't
So
think
it
there's a
means-
lot we can do, because if they're within the zoning regulations, what they're doing, if it's zoned commercial, then what can we do about it?
Well,
But why can't we say there's impact?
Well,
we
we
don't like the
They
impact.
haven't got approval from DES.
Hmm?
They haven't got approval. I believe they're going to submit it.
As long as they've submitted it.
You guys have seen this. You know there's another you've seen the other apartment complex on this property. Remember, you asked them
Right.
to put up fencing.
Right.
It's the same property.
Right,
Well, no, it's
no, it's down in
No, but
here.
it's
the same
Right.
property, but two
Right.
different locations
Right.
on this.
There's
He
different
just
locations.
owns a lot of property.
Yeah,
No, it's right, it's an odd property, but it's one
Yeah.
property.
Right.
You guys did talk about the other one with
Right.
fencing and
Right.
that's gonna happen. It went into the, planning board took that into consideration, and they are going to put up fencing.
Good.
Right.
Right.
So your request, say pretend DES goes,
So-
oh, we don't care. Planning board still would take say DES says, do whatever you want.
So why can't we just say, we just don't think this is a good idea on this location
on what
with,
basis, we have to provide
Well,
a basis.
planning board
Right.
can't stop that.
Yeah.
So no one can stop that, DES only can.
well, we still can give our point of view.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can say you don't want any of it.
But we have to provide a basis, not just,
Well, I
Because we
agree,
don't like the
but,
idea.
yeah, I'm just,
Has to have some
yeah.
detailed reservations.
right, well,
Yeah, I think we can only make comments, right?
pretty much,
Yes, but a
yeah,
lot of
advisory.
people
Right.
take your advice into consideration. So possibly, again, the planning board can't nix it, if DES gave approval. But if DES got your comments, they might hold them to the strict code, which is no building.
So-
I don't know.
so-
It's-
So
They're
obviously-
gonna go by the requirements of the Shoreline Protection Act.
so obviously they're gonna do a lot of digging, they're gonna do a lot of cutting, so what's that gonna do to the river? So why can't we voice our concern as that?
We
Yeah, well,
can't-
I think, and that would be probably, I mean, we gotta have Nicole or somebody here, but I think we would list our concerns. I think we do have to list our concerns. Because it's in the flood zone.
Exactly.
There's some steep slope in that area.
Exactly,
As I recall, the bank is
Right.
fairly abrupt.
exactly.
It's very, if anyone wanders back there in the dark, you're doing a
I'm not-
20-foot drop.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it will do to drainage under Main Street.
That's right, yeah.
You know, if they substantially change that area.
yep,
Well, they have the drainage reports in there if you'd like to look at them. The engineered, because they have to have a lot underneath this structure of highly sophisticated drainage.
so all that stuff's going into the river.
So is this the plan that they submitted?
Yeah, it's all the plans. You had this too, so like if you look on this, you get to the exact you see how they're doing the grass, the sloping? You get to, this is more of okay, these are like the exact utility trenches?
Because we saw this same type of a plan set for the one on Cross Street, but we
Right.
haven't seen that for this.
Exactly,
Here's the
yes.
sewer construction detail, which would be,
So is there any
town.
reason why we can't all get a copy of that, Christine?
yes, of course you can. I will get more. You had a copy last time, Ron.
Is that the one?
I haven't seen that.
No.
No.
It's not the same one, Larry.
I sent it
That's-
to you, it wasn't this size, it was the regular size. So let me get
This is
it.
what? Is this something you just got, or when did this
It
come?
was on,
Oh,
it was here when
Yeah.
it was here when I got here.
okay, so that's your copy.
No, it was,
Well, it is
Well,
now.
it is now, yeah.
I'll
one,
take a look.
I mean,
Yeah,
these are the
yeah.
types of things you
it was
need
our
to
copy.
really
I know,
evaluate it.
exactly.
This is what you
And,
need.
and fire, and I have to make an apology. Fire did see it, police did see it. So it is going through the,
You
Oh, okay.
and your own, and it
I think it's
has
kind of nice.
Highway.
to get a
all
couple
the
bridges
departments'
out of it.
reviews are in here, or they talk about
Is
it,
it part of the real
and
trail?
then it's towards the back that you
I mean,
get
it's part
the
of it.
the drainage
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah.
There's a property there.
Yeah, it goes on the south side of the
I
river,
think they're gonna even have pumps.
and there's links.
I think
Right,
it's.
and then you cross Central Street, and it goes.
Yeah,
behind.
this is for like the stormwater, they're complicated.
Technically,
They're,
40
because they
feet
have
are
to
the
have,
rail
they
trail
also have to have retaining
to get
pools,
from
Okay.
Central
so
Street
you don't
to
have
get to
overflow.
So this is actually good information to have before somebody comes to speak to us on this,
I
man.
had given it to you last week, it's the exact same stuff, last month. Remember when I sent it to you, it was your only one though, but yes,
What I passed around, I don't recall.
yes. It just wasn't that size, it was all the paper size. These are just
You get
legal.
the pretty pictures.
Yeah, I
of
don't
the
remember
bridges.
anything
I don't
this
know.
extensive. Anyway, so, so what's the thinking?
Oh, right,
We listen, we review this for next month's meeting,
well,
and
no,
then have him show up?
no, John should be on tonight.
Is he coming?
Well, right, I know he's supposed to log in, so let me,
When is this supposed to be going to the planning board?
it's going next week, possibly.
Well,
It might be delayed.
well, is,
After this.
anybody else want to talk? I mean, propose negative comments on
I'm
this?
not sure I've got negative comments, I've got lots of questions.
I think Larry just mentioned the steep slopes, the flood
Right.
zone, drainage impact. I
Right,
mean, having walked that, that area.
Right.
Going behind Salt Hill Pub in their dirt parking lot.
right,
I mean, it doesn't look like a really solid building site.
right.
It's just,
I know.
So that would be a concern too, the amount of fill that would need to be brought in for,
Yeah, I don't know.
impact on the river.
Yeah, I don't know the soil types that are present,
Right.
in its-
Have soils been
That's
done on
where the
this?
state, I
Soil
believe the state
testing?
has
Yeah.
to sign off on this.
Why not?
Right, I don't know
Well,
that there's a lot
it's
that we
just,
can
the
do with
planning
it.
board would have to
No
approve
comment.
it, and then
And I
obviously,
think insist that
there
the
would have to
state
be the
has
testing of it
Mhm.
done once you
Why don't you,
construction.
why don't you require it before the planning board?
Because it's not a test, I think that can cost, it's
What-
not part of what the planning board requests.
What did the guy say on the TV
But that was for requesting, going on the site to see, to request that there are the wetlands and everything, yes.
That was relative to
That,
water.
and they do have that on there. They do have
right?
the
So
list
why
of
don't
them.
you request that?
You said the soil type.
Well, soils, the wetlands, everything involved with the soil, with,
I
the
think,
topography.
Technically,
You-
there's no wetlands, but there is shoreline,
sure, they didn't find any wetlands, yeah.
yeah.
They didn't find any wetlands on this?
No, they
How
have.
about flooding? Isn't there like a 100-year flood zone on this?
There's a 500, I think they're in the 500.
Fairly well elevated, at least the site where they're
From the
planning on
river.
Okay,
building.
all right,
Not all the some of the property looks to me like it's much closer in elevation to
Right.
the river.
right,
But where they're proposing to put the building in the parking lot,
it's
pretty
higher.
well elevated,
Yeah, okay.
There also are elevations in there, do you see the elevations on the structure itself, above the ground?
Property during,
And they're putting parking underneath the building?
With the parking underneath the building.
The value goes up and down.
Sorry. But, you know, I really do question that if this is, fill is required
Right,
to level this out, what impact will that have in spring runoff?
exactly.
You know, and that's why I need this, feel the state has to tell us, because right now, this
Write that
area
down.
is quite likely a reservoir for water in spring runoff.
Right,
And it gets fed back underneath Main Street and into the, you know, that connection to the other branch of the Sugar River. This is sort of a reservoir area. If this gets all filled, are we gonna have serious erosion, and are we gonna have serious problems with drainage under Main Street because that reservoir has been filled?
It overflows.
And that,
It looks by that picture that they're planning on clearing right down to the river,
oh, I
yeah,
know.
so.
which I don't think is I don't think
No.
that's legal.
No,
So that
especially
all
when you,
needs the state has to,
They-
this is all covered under the.
I think my administrative review says DOT, I mean DES in progress, right? On the first page, the DES, okay, so I stated, department reviews are attached, DOT approved, DES application has been completed, the application. They haven't gotten anything back yet.
For the Shoreline Protection Act? Is that what that's for?
For just them propose, you have to send the whole thing, the whole proposal. And,
but is
well,
there anything about the Shoreline Protection Act?
That application.
that would be DES.
In the E DES?
That's in the DES report, that's what they're submitting it for. So I could ask about what type of fill they're gonna use, if it's not mentioned in the DES report of what's required. And then I could also contact DES and ask them the drainage plans that they have for this to mitigate runoff anywhere. The pumping and the retaining pools,
You can go
are those
online,
sufficient?
you can go online and see the status of
Right.
applications to DES.
But I mean, just even off the, someone would come to me and say, is it sufficient what they presented for their for the pumps?
But based on what Larry was saying, is based on these pictures, the drawings, they're gonna be filling in, cutting and filling in to level next to the,
I know,
to the
that looks
bridge.
closer than it should, is
I
it?
don't
It's
believe they
not
can
that
do that.
close. Is it that close to the bridge?
Looks that way, doesn't it? Looks
That's
like
an
it's,
odd angle.
they're gonna have to cut a lot, they're gonna have to fill a lot.
You have to go deep, you have to go into the woods to get to the bridge.
Yeah, but not if they,
guess I'd have to
not if
measure,
they're
I don't
cutting
know.
and building.
You know what I did? I walked it already last spring. Of course, now you can't. I could pace it out from the road to the bridge, but I'm thinking that makes it look like it's being built right. What does it say on the? How far away is
isn't
it?
that seminar?
Oh, you're right. It
Doesn't
is
say.
pretty
The second
close.
seminar?
It's only 50
I think they
feet.
said that
Wait a minute.
we should familiarize ourselves with the
You're right.
application that they have.
It's only
this
50 feet.
Dredge and fill application.
Setback.
Do you have a copy of that?
I went on and did a copy.
It's only a 50-foot setback.
They have
That
a
is
copy of
closer
it
than
at
you
home.
think.
And that may be
Try to
the
get this
application
one
that they have to submit.
Denied.
I don't
No,
know.
really?
Drain location.
For sure.
Well,
We work really hard to get it
I know.
denied.
I'm not positive.
Well,
You've got the more power than anybody.
I can give, but
Here's
I
sort of
can't,
the
it's
checklist.
illegal for me to
Yeah.
deny it for no reason.
If the elevations are
So
proper,
They've got to go through the hydrology.
it could be that this garage is actually
I think what I'd like to see
Yeah.
is a copy
I
of
mean,
their
looks, you know.
Yeah,
application to
exactly.
the state.
Under-
Okay.
As far as
And they're not
elevation,
here.
Getting-
Oh, wait,
And look
I
at the
got
setbacks.
John's
This
on
is,
Zoom
this
with
is only,
Wilma
this is within the
planning board.
50 feet.
well, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
This is not very good planning.
This is to scale.
I
On his
know.
part.
This is 40 feet high, this is like barely 50
Okay.
feet.
So I'd like to see, I'd like to see a
Exactly.
copy of that
Which,
Okay, so hold on, let me write this down, so I'll forget.
Yeah.
You want a copy of their DES application?
for the shoreline, in compliance with the Shoreline Protection Act. And I'd like to see the state's response.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Well, again, just be aware that if it's a no-go from the state, it's a
not going,
no-go
right.
for anything, just
Right.
so you, okay, so,
Yeah, but hopefully we can ask the planning board to hold off on their approval till
Well-
everything is,
so, absolutely, that's what I was just gonna make a comment about. So, Ron said, I'm away next week, which is the planning board on Tuesday, because I'm in Florida. He goes, I can come in via Zoom, but he'd rather come in person. And he said, ask Ken Moreau, because Ken can be, even though he's the vice president of the planning board, ask Ken if he'll allow me to come in via Zoom, or does he think it's better to come in person? Ken really didn't reply to me, but Ken's like, they're still missing a few things from this, like some more elevations he wanted. So I was just gonna say, Ken, do you just want me to have him go to next month? Well, now I think with this missing, I'm just oh, but it's before. I'm just gonna request for it to go to next month, so then they can see you see you then first. But you're always after the planning board, except for this week. The only reason you're not after is because the school vote that was this week, the year after. So the only way to see before the meeting is to move your meeting up a week.
well,
I'd be fine with a special meeting.
Or a
exactly.
special
purpose.
meeting.
Yeah.
I'd be fine
Or a
with that.
special meeting. Okay, because I can
This is
I
important.
can
Yeah.
delay them seeing the planning board next week
Mhm.
for a month. Because
Tell them we
Ron-
want to see them first.
Right, well,
Yeah.
Ron already said he'd delay it.
Mhm.
Because he thinks it might be better to be in person to the planning board. So, because he didn't want to, I'm not allowed to, just move it. But, okay, so the planning board is met on the 11th. It's an early meeting. They're on the 11th of April. So we can either meet on that Monday, which I don't think we can because there's a BOS meeting. Hold on. Let me get my calendar out. Where's my calendar? Here. The 11th of April, BOS meets on the first and third.
First and third.
I think we could meet on the 10th, and it's weird that it's a Monday. I think I'm gonna have to go check the schedules, the BOS calendar schedule. Because you have to meet before the planning board, or we could meet, I believe, I'll have to check the schedule, but I believe we could meet on the Wednesday of the
Fifth,
is that the Wednesday? Yes,
Yeah.
of the 5th, which is more logical because it's just another Wednesday meeting.
Mhm.
So it's not confusing everyone. Like,
Either of those is
keep it to
probably
a,
fine
keep
with
it
me.
to a
By the
Wednesday.
formula, when does the planning board meet?
April 11th.
But the formula,
They always meet the second Tuesday,
second Tuesday, okay.
but there's a lot of things. Town meeting and voting goes on second Tuesdays. So, and school meetings. So there's 3 times a year that they get bumped to the third Tuesday of every month. But overwhelmingly, they're the second. So this is why you're always behind the 8 ball with, they can wait for approval. They can still hear a case and not approve it till they get your information.
Right, well, so it shows the importance of having these applicants come to us first,
exactly.
and just do it first.
You
Right.
can't-
That should be the
Okay,
standard
so I have to follow RSAs. There's deadlines for going in front of the planning board. Once, if they meet the deadline, they by law, I cannot delay them.
Mhm.
If, I can't delay them from seeing, unless they just agree. But I can't. I could ask, but I can't just do it. So a lot of times I get these cases, I'm not aware of them. I get a case submitted to me, a site plan review on the planning board deadline. Or even if it's a week prior, you still don't meet.
How do you inform people that they have to come to us
Right.
prior?
How do you inform them they have other things hoops to jump through?
Well, you know what's interesting? That's what I've always wondered, why am I always struggling with this? And it only hit me a couple months ago, is because by law, I can't hold them up unless I request to hold them up. And you guys, your meetings are always after.
We're a week and a day after, but you could look at it a different way.
That's right.
Exactly.
We're 22 days before.
Correct.
Right.
Good. You know another thing
So
though,
I don't know why we just don't think about this as being 22 days
Well, I
before.
think,
Exactly.
so what's the deadline for them to get on the agenda for the planning board?
It's 21 days prior to a planning board meeting. So, but hold on one second, I think I've got another idea. If you look at the site plan applications that are in your packet, they have on the site plan, planning board says phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of this site plan, the single site plan application. No one wants to do 3 phases because they want to get it, they want the answer done and now. If there's a site plan that comes in that requires CC input, I can mandate a 2-meeting planning board. So they could go and see the first phase, but they still will have to do a second phase, and then that always gets you in prior to the second phase.
Anything that
Does that make sense?
I think
And
so.
I can mandate that they cannot have a site plan first and final. Everyone asks for first and final. When I first came, you typically would review a site plan over like 3-month periods, because there was so much to digest.
When somebody, does the town have a standard list of requirements for submission of information?
On site plans, yes.
Are we on there saying,
Yes.
and does it say on there that it has to be submitted, or they have to
Prior.
come before us
No,
so many days prior to the planning board meeting?
no.
Is there any reason why that can't be added?
Well, I think we're gonna I'll have to check, I'll have to go with the state regulations. I think you would have to move your meeting before I hold them up. But I think what I can do is anyone that needs to be seen by CC is gonna have to do a 2-phase, whether they like it or not. I can mandate a 2-phase,
That's fine, but
because there's no way
when
for
would we
them
get a
to,
chance to comment prior?
I just can't
And
mandate that
it's
first
not just-
meeting.
It's not just about building in near a river or wetlands. Sometimes things may be proposed that are critical to conservation lands or
Exactly.
may
Right?
interrupt, wildlife corridors or things that we're
Absolutely.
going to be hopefully building into the
Or the
enterprise.
watersheds, or where wells are going in. So especially anything commercial, you should look at. And if it's commercial, like we should be able to look at it and walk it. Right now, you can't see anything. But 9 months out of the year, typically, you could sort of walk around some of these properties and see them. I cannot prevent them from going to the planning board immediately. But I can tell them from the beginning, this is gonna be a 2-month process. Because if you go to the planning board first, you're still gonna have to see the Conservation Commission after the planning board meeting in the month of, say, April. Say you go and see planning board in April. You're gonna go 1 week to them, then you guys are always the following week. And then you're gonna have to go to CC, and then you're gonna have to do your second phase, the next month. It's gonna have to be a 2-phase process. And
Fine with me.
I can do that. I can't prevent them from going to the planning board though first if they want to. Or you can move your.
As long as we have a chance to comment.
Yes. The planning board always takes your comments into consideration, but I think it should be a second meeting with them.
But like in this
not
case,
just
so the
add it
planning
up
board's
to that.
meeting next Tuesday, right? And we haven't had a chance to talk to this guy.
Well, he was supposed to come in, and now he's not, so I'm
And
gonna
he may
delay.
have postponed coming, just so it could be skipped over.
snowstorm.
For all
At the
we
very
know.
least, we should be able to see what the status of their application to
Yeah.
DES, because it should be available online if we're,
Okay, so what do you think of me saying we have to have CC review? You guys are on the administrative review checklist. Remember the packet I sent you? That it said I was looking for your administrative review. That's how it comes to all the departments. And you're on there. So it might be that every commercial project would be a 2-phase instead of a first and final. Like they're all asking.
Yeah, it's your department. You
Whatever-
set it
whatever
up.
Well, I
takes
just
so that
can't
we have
change
an opportunity.
RSAs. You see, right, you're on it every time.
All right.
And
So
then do you
what-
see on the application here,
Yep,
they
I saw
have
that.
phase 1, 2, they just want to go to they want it once and final.
Well,
Right, I can mandate that they go more than once.
We're gonna try something because this keeps coming up. over
exactly,
and over and over.
exactly, and it's frustrating.
It
Okay,
is
so
frustrating.
if I delay, so even with me delaying them till April, you're still not, we still have to make a special meeting. That's kind of crazy, but fine.
That's
Special
okay.
meeting is fine with me.
Okay,
So,
we
the
also.
5th, we're
we
gonna
could
try to do
it
the 5th.
Or you could, I'd have to look at BOS.
Let's
But you
just
could
do,
it
let's just
20
do the 5th.
Okay, let me try, let me, I'm
Is
sorry.
that okay?
Assuming we can get a quorum. I
Yeah.
think that's the key.
Are
really.
you good with that?
I don't know if I'm good.
Gunther?
I
Yeah?
don't think I've got a conflict, but,
You don't have to have a quorum. You can hear what they have to say. You guys just can't vote on anything. You can hear what they have to say, and then we could try to get a quorum. Like, God forbid,
Well,
someone, I mean,
We'd have to,
you could then have.
present our remarks though. We'd have to have our remarks prepared.
You'd have to figure out a quorum before planning board.
Well, I think to present remarks, I think we have to, as a group,
Have a quorum. You do.
approve the comment,
Absolutely.
You do
right? So you
like
have to
a
have a
quorum.
quorum,
Right.
right? So,
So, I mean, you could hold the meeting though on the 5th, just because he's saying they're showing up. And then I could get you guys all together at another time and just make a quorum.
mhm.
Like even at
Well-
4:30 in the afternoon or something if we had to. And you vote on your comments to the board. If that happened, let's hope it doesn't happen. So let me,
Larry, are you available for the 5th?
Of April,
Yeah.
yeah, I should be.
So,
anyone
So
can
she-
come in via Zoom too, as long as we have one board member.
yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing April 5th, so I
Well,
can't
we-
say I can be or.
We also could do it the 29th of this month, which is a Wednesday. You want everyone to look at their calendars? I'll send out an email tomorrow.
That would be great.
Okay, so
And if
because the
everybody can
29th is a
respond properly, that would
Wednesday.
be great.
In theory, the 22nd is in theory kind of even available, but I'm just gonna send out right now
So
the.
that would be our backup option?
The 29th?
No, I thought Christina just said the 22nd.
Well, and there's next week, next Wednesday is the 22nd.
March 22nd.
Oh, March 22nd.
Yeah, March 20, you
Well-
have really 3 Wednesdays
Right.
available.
Right.
So we could, it's just because John didn't show up.
Right, you
So-
have to find out when he's
so-
available.
Oh, I'll make him show up. I'll have him show up.
Really?
He should put us on, well, they're not gonna, Ron will then come. Someone's gotta come, they can't keep flowing. Or then I'll tell him he has to delay, he's gonna get delayed on the planning board.
Yeah, I think that's your
Chris-
only leverage.
Christina, so what is the date that we're shooting for?
I think I'll send an email out because the next Wednesdays are the 22nd, 29th, and 5th. And then if someone's like, oh my God, I can't make the 5th, maybe you then back up to the 29th, you
Is
know
there
what I
any
mean?
reason why we can't all consider the 22nd, 29th, and the 5th
Absolutely.
as a group? And then we can-
Yes, and then you
Right.
guys
Together.
decide, and then I
Yeah.
schedule it, and then I call John
That
and
sounds
Ron.
great.
Okay, to set up for this one agenda meeting, and we can talk about anything else, but at least for them to present. So email for these 22nd, and again, that's only next week, so maybe no one, I'm just gonna throw it out there. 29th and 5th
Okay.
for the
We
Central
gotta
Street.
come up with a way to address this.
Yeah.
I
so we
think
can start talking about it.
I think I can do it, and we can see if it works, is that it becomes a 2-phase.
Mhm.
And then I can also write to the planning board, or I can put in my administrative review, this is 2-phase due to lacking CC input. And then I can also pre-tell the applicants, you can absolutely present, because you've made it into the deadline, but you will have to have a 2-phase, because we will not get in the CC. So they will know upfront. And
That
there's
sounds
nothing
good.
wrong with 2 phases.
Okay.
It's just, and they might even say, well, let me just CCC first.
Mhm.
And they'll delay themselves going to the planning board.
That'd be great.
Okay.
That's in there.
But it looks like we weren't even considered in this packet.
No, yes, I sent it to last month.
Don. Okay.
Don, I know. I sent it to Don
I
last
know,
month.
but as a group, we weren't
Well, I
even,
meant for him to bring it, like, you guys have to be on this, and I need to get him on the agenda, and then I did. That's why he was coming.
oh, I
So
see.
one
Yeah, I would.
one
Okay.
package came to me, and then I passed it on to Larry passed it on to Gunther.
But I just
So you
meant
see the
let's
problem,
talk
that's the
about it.
trouble with one packet coming out to the clerk.
It was just
Yeah.
that here it is, and it was on the agenda last month.
Mhm.
For us to address, we need to make an appointment for him.
Mhm.
And so what I need to do is have this in the emails to you prior to the meeting.
Correct.
This stuff.
Right.
Not just the one word of Ron DeCola.
Okay,
That sounds good.
That's what I needed.
Okay.
Yes.
Communication is key.
Right.
Okay.
And
So-
yeah, I didn't mean to do that. I wasn't looking to just get Don's input, for sure. That's not possible, so.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we have that solved. And I'm gonna work on that,
We hope so.
yeah.
Did you get all that, Maura?
I certainly did.
She has no problem with people having two phases. Everyone, doesn't everyone wanna come and have the answer right away that night on site plans?
It used to be, I don't know if it was 2 or 3.
It was, yeah, all the time.
But then, because of construction and helping
They
people out,
rush.
then they
Let's rush it,
put it to 1.
rush it along.
who's they?
And so people who've lived in other towns, they come and they see a final review, and they're, wait a minute, when was the first? You know, when was the preliminary meeting? And, no, it's always just 1.
The planning board can say, regardless if someone wants first or final, the planning board could say, we're not making a decision tonight, you're coming back next month. They have that, they just typically do it for them. But I can mandate, they
There's
can't,
pressure from the contractors. over-
right, to get it done.
Tough shit.
Right.
And there's development is, they want to see. Right?
But we can't
Yeah.
delay it. I can delay that for sure.
Excellent. Good. You
Okay.
did that. So I think we're moving on to the next item. Am I right about that?
Sure.
Okay. So the letter,
Can I just make you aware of something? Christina didn't put it on the agenda, and that's the dog park. The town, do you want to say that? Say it, Christina?
No, you can talk about it.
Okay. So the town of Newport has gotten a shoreline protection permit for them to do the dog park.
Oh, they got the approval?
That's what was announced at the meeting. They have the permit. But was anything brought to the Conservation
No.
Commission? And just like when they had the bridge and Todd Cartier came to visit and speak to the commission, would you like, Christina can...
They already got that approved through DES. What's the permit? Is it, so they got it-
Shoreland.
Right, so they did get that.
I have no clue. That's what, all
That
I
was
know is
approved.
what came out of the mouth.
Whose mouth? So who would come to see us about that?
The board in public was told that it was going to be the purview of the Public Works Department to get the dog park and the community garden all built up this
So
spring after the ground dries.
it would be Public Works to come see us?
Or the contractor who's putting in the.
No, Public Works
Is putting it in too? We're not having,
so if they already have the permit, I don't think we have any recourse. Because I think
I
our
have
opportunity
not-
to comment is passed.
no, you can delay, we can call BS and they will delay, they can put a hold on it for waiting for your input. The Sugar River runs right through the center of the lot that they're looking to build the dog park and the community gardens on. I should be included, I only even, did I know about the dog park? Was it discussed
No, I
in,
told you.
so was it discussed in one of the BOS meetings?
Yeah,
The-
this one.
The
See,
dog park has been talked about for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right, but I didn't even know the piece of land it was on, because I'm not
Yeah.
included. It's Maura who said that there was, and I typically watch the meetings, although usually I listen to them while I'm doing other work, so I typically, but I must have missed this because because we had a hard time finding where the land was. Maura was helping me, and then we found it. And it is a property that a town owns, and that the Sugar River runs right through, and yes, you should have input on how that works. That's protection of the natural resources. And
So set up
Okay, so I'll email Public Works, and then I will ask them if they received an approval from the Shoreline Protection, and I'll get that copy too from
Yeah,
them.
get a copy of that.
That was approved.
By the DES.
I've got it on their website. I was looking to see if there was any status on Ron DeCola's, and there's no mention of theirs. File number, this is off Route 103, is that right?
It's
Yeah,
on John
it's right next to
Stark.
the Jiffy Mart, isn't it?
It's on John's,
Yeah.
it's on Elm Street, is the real address, but it's right after the CVS and that gas station.
Yeah, it's 103.
Or not CVS, the
Right.
Rite Aid.
103 West, yeah.
So you know across from Promex?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That's where,
So
There's an
what's
there's
the
an
number?
existing- There's an
What's-
existing park
I think
there.
it's 4
Yeah.
Elm
it's
Street.
site,
No, that's a
site map
different one. This is-
114, lot
no,
123.
That's for the
The water body
veterans.
impacted.
Oh, that's not where it is? Where is it? On the other side of the river?
It's on.
I don't know
lot
exactly,
itself
all
is
I've been
on
told is they'll be displacing homeless.
Oh, so it might be behind? Yeah, it's in that area of vacant land around the river.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a lot that goes,
Yeah.
so they got approval to do it.
Are they gonna put a bridge over the river?
I don't think so.
We don't know.
Did they send plans? Right.
Ken knows a little bit about this.
Yeah, all it says here, project description, impacts 43,268 square feet, so that's about 1 acre, of protected shoreland in order to construct a municipal dog park and community garden each,
That's
surrounded by
too
4-foot chain link fence. That's all we need is one more chain link
Beautiful,
fence.
really.
You know,
Jesus.
couldn't they at least think of
Something more
Yeah.
a more
aesthetically
handsome
pleasing.
fence?
Yeah.
We get more, anyway, impervious surface percentage approved 0.9%, I don't know what that means.
It means water can't penetrate
It's
it.
essentially pavement.
Yes, it's
or-
or concrete.
Yeah.
They must have some pads there for benches or something.
So anyway, DES reviewer was Craig Day, agent, whoever, KV Partners LLC. Final category was shoreland standard, and it was apparently approved.
So are there any plans there?
I would say it's the KV
I don't know how to
Partners.
quite navigate the website to see what the plans are.
Because they may have maintained the 50-foot buffer.
Well, they have to then.
Right, yeah. I mean, you would think so. It doesn't look like they're planning on doing that down here.
I know it.
Yeah.
They do have a 50-foot buffer.
Yeah, if there's a
It's on
50-foot
there,
buffer.
but I didn't even realize it was that close. I thought it was, but I guess I'm losing.
So you're gonna set up a meeting for our next meeting with the dog park?
Yes, and I will call, I can probably get a copy of that or download it offline, and hopefully they do have the specifications
I
in
would
there.
think that it would be in your best interest to learn how to use that, because these are, all go through, planning and zoning, these permits.
Well,
I mean, if
they're
there's an
supposed
outstanding
to.
permit, you can check on its
Right.
status. This
Oh,
way.
yes, they're supposed to, for sure. Yeah, I'm not made aware of things, I don't go surfing around on DES, but if
But you
I,
must know which proposed plans have to go through DES, don't you know that?
yes, but I didn't know where, again, this is Hunter's purview, and I didn't even know where the dog park was going in. As far as I knew, it was going on the side of a mountain. So unless I'm told,
Yeah.
Christina,
get
this has to go in
circumvented
front of your
process.
CC board.
Yeah, that seems like they've done a real end round.
Of course, yeah.
That's pretty standard.
Yeah, so I usually try to keep my me trying to figure out what everyone else is doing. I can barely
If
figure,
you're kept in the dark, then you're kept in the dark.
Right, like Maura and I surfed around, because I'm like, where's it going in? And I'm like, oh yeah, we finally figured, we had a hard time figuring it out. And then I got it from her, so I'm like, oh yeah, the Sugar River runs right through. Well, the other thing that has been kept in the dark that I just found out through watching BOS meeting or listening to one while I'm working is the DOT is doing changes to Main Street, and there was supposed to be, the Heritage Commission it was supposed to be presented in front of the
Huh.
H3 and the CC. Was
Are
that
we-
input.
What are they doing?
Are we jumping ahead now?
Oh, sorry,
No,
okay.
it's just-
It's the same, well, it's the same
Yeah.
it's the same thing. And you weren't, they said you were consulted, and that's when Jim Burrows got upset. He goes, the CC was never consulted.
No, Heritage, he said that, the guy from the state, said that he,
had the
his
Heritage.
staff, because he wasn't at the meeting, met with, let's see, a lady from the National Heritage Commission,
National.
or Bureau, they call it, with the local Heritage Bureau and with the local Conservation Commission.
And they did.
And Mr. Reesberg had appointed or asked two people in town from Heritage to represent Heritage, which,
You can't do.
I'll let you do the hard words. And I don't know as they thought that they were also representing Conservation Commission, because he was under the impression that they had. And nobody said anything about a great big entourage of state people being here. But I sent you a list, right? There were like 6 or 7 people that he listed from all these different walks of life that came from the state. So I don't know.
So what are they gonna do?
One thing that the guy did say is that if there is something that the local Heritage Bureau, he calls it Bureau, or Conservation Commission would like changed, it is not too late to do it.
You were supposed to see, and I didn't know anything about
When was that, Laura?
this either. This
The
was,
meeting was, let's see, February 2nd.
So it's not too late to do it over a month and a half ago.
right, and they knew, this is again.
too late now.
you don't
Okay,
wanna
see.
go-
What do they want to do?
They're removing the 40 parking spaces, they're changing the crosswalks, they're reducing them, and I don't know if there's trees I wasn't involved, trust me, I'm not, they're doing it on their own, so I found this out, I put this on here, because it says it's required to have review of CC. And there's no, they haven't done, you guys don't know anything about it, I just found out about it.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is knock off these other things.
Okay.
Because 8:30 is 45 minutes away, and if we're talking about the NRI building blocks, which is an important item to get to,
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get people to present about the Main Street and the dog park next month, and Rondecola. And we've already got Rondecola, and then, I'll send that email out about the special meeting. And I'm gonna see if I can just get them to present, because you were supposed to be filled in about it.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we can move on to any, so that's what I'm gonna do for the Main Street and the dog park. For presentations, and then Ron's the special meeting.
But you can't set those meetings up if we don't know what day we're meeting, so we need to decide on that day.
Well, no, I'm setting up Ron for the special meeting, which you guys will decide. These people will just be at your regular next month's meeting.
Oh,
Does that
okay.
work?
Sounds good.
Okay. And I'm gonna send the email out about the special meeting. Okay. So this will just be the normal meeting next month. Which one is that? Your normal meeting next month is the 19th. The 19th. Okay.
Okay, well, Dawn's not here, somebody want to take over? Letter to the abutters. I read through it, I didn't see anything that I would change.
No, I agree. It just seems very matter of fact, to the point.
Did I write that they can call me with any questions or concerns? Yeah, so hopefully, some people will call, and then then they're engaged at least, or, yeah.
How do you spell abutters?
I looked that up, it is with.
Is it one T?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, it is
When
with
it's-
one T.
When it's plural, it's two Ts?
You can use either.
Oh,
Okay, so a butter is one T.
right.
Really, I thought it was two.
I did too.
That's just-
I think
Like
you can,
butter?
it swings
Like
either,
butter?
swings either way.
I'm sorry. To me, it's two T's automatically. It's got the word butter in it.
I know, so wait, and I spell it?
No, you're right.
No,
You're
it's
okay.
spelled all right.
Oh, it is.
There should be a comma, I think, after parcel on the last sentence there in the first paragraph. During the 2022 required inspection of this parcel, comma, the Conservation Commission. No. I just like commas.
Either way.
All right,
I
My
can,
grammar has always been boring.
I
I can,
I
I'm
like-
not a good editor either. I do look
Could
the
you put a comma
basic.
there? I like
Yes.
commas.
I don't think anyone's gonna mind.
So we did decide to have this letter go from her. I thought we decided that the letter was gonna go from,
I think last month we decided it would come out of Christina's
okay,
with
the
the CC,
CC.
so that
Yeah.
it,
Sounds good. Very nice letter. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. That's right, absolutely. And I think it sounds,
Can you get that out ASAP, because spring is coming?
yes, absolutely. I actually,
Do you have the whole list of abutters that I sent?
well, those weren't, you know what's interesting? Those, I think I have your abutters list. Is this the list you sent?
But I gave you all the addresses too.
Because they didn't align with,
They're not all abutters.
oh, I have way more abutters. So I printed out the abutters are the ones that are highlighted,
Yep.
and I have way more than you have on your list.
Oh, well, that's good.
Oh, okay,
that's
so
fine.
you don't mind?
No. Because I included people in the area.
why I thought it might have been, an option would have been to address dear residents of Swan and
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
Summer Street.
Right.
actually, this is my abutters list. I had 15 via this printout that shows like literally the abutters, but you
Right.
added more people just from, so I'm gonna get your list and my list together.
Okay. So Larry thinks that maybe you need to,
Well, an option around that would be just to, the greeting would be dear residents of Swan and Upper
Yeah.
Summer Street.
Well, it's more than that. You've got North Main, you've got a partial that abuts that is on North Main.
yeah,
You've got one on Chateau, you've got one on Sand Hill, one on Wally. And the Sand Hill and I think the Sand Hill and the Wally are industrial places.
That's fine, it was only a thought.
I did,
I can
I
give,
did that?
this one's mine,
Oh.
because yours wasn't as comprehensive. I literally did the abutters.
Yeah, I
Like,
thought we were.
like
Right.
these
I
that
didn't
aren't
realize.
abutting, I didn't do. They're close.
Yeah, because people across the street were throwing over.
North Main Street.
So this person maybe because there's a street. I think I could do number 35 too.
Larry, did you get
I gave you the-
email
just
that I
do
just
the-
forwarded?
I
you?
don't
Do my
Did you-
list and then,
I might have.
It could be at North Main Street, past high school.
I'm gonna go relook at your list. The reason I didn't fully do your list is because I had way.
but you might have to address dear residents, rather than saying butters, just
Right.
say dear residents.
Right. In the area of,
Well, you're sending
Whatever.
each one a letter, so it could be dear resident, right?
right.
Right.
Because each one's getting a letter.
Right.
So-
That would be,
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna compare yours and I list, and then I'm gonna make a list of who, you'll get the list of exactly who I sent it to.
Okay, sounds good.
And I think I'll get everyone you wanted, and a
Okay.
little more.
Okay,
So I'll do Bart, oh God. Okay, I'll figure it out up top.
could, is that Barton Land a butter or Barton Conservation Land a butter, Barton is a little, brief, you know what I mean?
I
You
think,
could be more explanatory.
I think
you know
I'm
what I
just
mean?
gonna do RE, Barton Conservation Land.
Sounds good.
So we
That's a
just-
good way to do it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So where
Exactly.
Barton the Butter is, should be the name of the resident.
Okay, so I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna resend this to you, just because I've got a comma, I'm gonna put dear resident,
Right.
and then I'm gonna do RE, Barton, just what this letter's in reference to.
Conservation,
A conservation, easement, is that what it is?
It's an
No.
easement.
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, Barton, oh, and I'm attaching the land that we're talking about, so if they're like, what the heck is a Barton? I'm going to attach the map.
good for you,
Yeah,
good.
that's the attachment, so they know what we're talking
Well,
about.
Good.
weren't we also going to include a copy of the report from the LCIP? Or I should say the Conservation Stewardship Program,
The
CSP.
one that you guys wrote with the, yes.
Well, the one that we received
Yeah,
from them.
from her, yeah,
Shirley, right.
yeah,
So we're gonna send a copy of that to show that there's an official document that,
yeah.
So I'm gonna send that and a map,
so there's two
attachments.
attachments.
So I'm gonna have an S on the end of attachments, attachment 2, and a map. Barton Conservation Easement. Okay, so it's just gonna be under RE, and then dear resident,
Sounds good,
and then a comma, and then attachments.
excellent.
Okay,
You got that?
yes, and then I'm gonna make notes of everyone I send it to,
Okay,
Great.
so we know.
good.
So if you get phone calls, I got this, although I'm the one that wrote it, but just in case, I got this letter, you'll know I sent it.
So how many are there total roughly, do we know?
I've got 16 now,
16, that's
and
I
nice.
then
think there's a little, I think there's more than that.
I think there's a couple,
It's not huge.
it was listed in the minutes, because I wasn't here,
I
I
sent,
was in
yeah,
the
I
hospital.
sent it out. I don't,
Yeah.
I didn't bring my phone.
I've got it, it's also, I think Maura wrote them all down in the minutes.
You did?
Yeah, I think she
Maura?
wrote down every abutter, because
I
I
can't
went to
remember.
try to compare, so I've got them.
I don't have my phone with me, so I
Oh,
can't.
you had listed off, all of the addresses, and you said, I want this in the minutes, so, yeah.
Yes, you put, so I've got.
I said I wanted it in the minute? I did?
You're a very demanding young
Yes, you
lady.
are.
I said that?
Yes,
So is it-
they're in
are
the
the
minutes,
minutes?
I've got it.
Which minutes are those?
December, the
That's
meeting
why we
that
don't-
was in the hot, yes.
Because I've never seen that in the minutes.
You did, you saw the December.
Was it actually listed in the minutes?
Yes,
I don't have
so
the
that would
December
have been
minutes.
the Jan,
Okay,
wait,
I'll
wait.
take your word for it. I don't
wait,
remember.
we didn't go to the we didn't have a January.
We didn't have a
meeting because
January
of the
meeting, no.
snowstorm.
It was weather.
So you know
But you
perfected
always-
all the names and
I don't know
addresses,
about names, because names weren't on the, map.
but they're in the minutes.
Oh, I just
Okay, wait a
submitted the
minute.
map.
I have the minutes right here, so holy. Yes, I marked them. I made notes because
Okay.
I was like, because I wanted to make sure. Oh, you know what though?
That's,
Oh, I see the lot numbers. I
Yes,
see, yes, I remember that, yes,
yes,
yeah, I remember
Mrs.
this.
Stitt
yeah.
allowed the applicable lots on Swan Street. So I am gonna do more. There's gonna be about, probably about another 8 more. Because Linda had read people off that aren't abutters, but are in that area.
Was this yours? Linda?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember, cool, thanks.
It's right, so it's there.
so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 15,
15, okay.
Okay, and I have 15,
yep.
and I have to add to yours 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of yours I don't have on my list.
Huh,
Because you did ones that weren't truly abutters.
correct.
Right, so there's gonna be a few more, so I'm gonna combine your list and my list.
Sounds good.
Okay.
That sounds great. So if we're moving on from that specific issue
Done.
with respect to that. We had talked, after we got the report from Charlotte Harding, we had talked about having like a mid-year inspection of the south boundary of the Barton property. Should we schedule that so we don't forget it? Try to schedule it?
Or-
So, because I think stepping it up a little bit might be a better, like, just a presence, if nothing else. So, just walking the south boundary. So, should we try to schedule that for our April meeting? Or not the meeting, but sometime in April? Or is that too early because of the snow?
Depends how the weather goes.
Hard
Yeah,
to say.
and May could be, unless we do it real early in May, could be pretty buggy.
April would,
I think,
I think we.
Bugs don't
Late
bother,
April?
end of April?
bugs don't bother me, so.
Early May?
Or end of April.
Do we have a,
Yeah.
well,
Is this for walk?
how about the first week of May? We
Sounds
try to do
good.
that. It's just for a walk of that boundary, so that we kind of up our presence and make sure that we're not sliding. Also, there were, when we did that inspection there, somebody has actually, as we saw, created a trail from their property to the Summer Street, and there are pieces of plywood that were put down to help them get through them,
Right.
the muddy spot. I think we should pick them up and remove them.
I think we should, if they
Yeah.
haven't been removed. Now, this letter might prompt people to help do a little bit of cleanup where they know they violated, but I could see them just being like, it's not mine, you're right.
Yeah. So, can we get it in, is it okay with everybody if we put it in the minutes that we're gonna shoot for the first week of May?
Sure.
No
Have it
specific
already.
date, but the first week of May.
Did you guys
I have it.
decide on the sign? I know there's been emails going back.
I don't know what's happening.
There was, I think, because I can get involved, but whenever I see it, Todd emails all of you guys, and so I just stay out of it, because you guys are supposed to decide.
Well, I think right at the moment, I've been up there, the banks, the snowbank there is massive.
Right, you
really-
can't put anything up anyways,
Yeah,
but just the
right.
sign, you wanted a sign to look a certain way, right?
I made a
don't-
suggestion.
I don't think there is a canned version of that. Would people like me to write Todd and say, there's no canned versions of this, but this is what we want, so can you order this?
I've done that. I was telling Gunter that in my previous job, I used to order signs occasionally.
Okay, and they can pretty much, so.
It's not difficult.
I'm
no.
gonna say, because I think they just were like, this is what's at Home Depot. So I'm just gonna say, we'd like you to order it of what Don requested. And then, because everyone kept saying, I haven't heard back, I haven't heard back.
Mhm.
So, do you want me to do that?
I think, that, in my opinion, the sign that I took a picture of and sent around
Yeah.
looks good, except that I would like to see per the town of Newport, so that that's an official sign that clearly belongs to the town.
Right, that's what you, instead of just no, don't write.
Right, it's not just somebody winged it.
No dumping, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit edited. You're right, I bet you can go order those at Home Depot as a special. I bet you they have someone they can cut.
It's
So,
not hard.
I'm gonna send that to, the highway guy, Craig,
Craig
Yeah, well, I mean, Todd said he'd have
that make it up. So
His-
let's just decide,
his
yes.
helper make it up, so it's just a
So
matter
I'm
of-
gonna, it's not gonna be a canned one. The sign at the end of summer, Public Works, end of summer is Don's suggestion.
We're getting that in the minutes? Thank you.
And I got an email. I think I better write how many emails I've gotta send. Okay, so I've got that. I'll get the sign going. And you'll be CC'd in on the email.
Sounds great. So if we're moving on, this is gonna be something that takes a little time, I think. So I would like to get this done, if we're gonna get out of here by 8:30. This should be our, perhaps last but not least, agenda item. So, does anybody have suggestions that they'd like to throw out?
Well, I think it'd be good for at least one thing, we should include recreation lands or recreation areas.
So are we creating a list at this point?
I think it's worth
I think we
it, yeah.
should get a list, but maybe not the final list, just
Okay.
brainstorm.
Well, I think we need to move, see, so that was gonna be my question, was how, I don't think we should wait until,
Right, but I mean,
April
for the
meeting.
next 5 minutes brainstorm and then.
okay.
I think you should do a top 5, and then, what was the amount they said? Was it 12 or was it 16?
What?
Out of, because there was a little bit of back and forth in that BOS meeting.
So no, they would not commit to a number.
Oh, cool, so let's go with the 16. So I
Right, So
give,
the way it was presented to us was, we'll get the RFPs, find out what they
oh, okay, good.
say they
Even
can do
better.
based on what we want. So it might come in at 20 grand,
Cool.
who knows?
Okay,
Right. It's all based on what we want. So recreation land is, can we just start a brief, kind of an impromptu
do you
list?
want me to do
Got
that?
that, got that down?
Oh, she's got, okay.
Laura's on top of it. So, if I can just interject, the Claremont had a wetlands value ranking. In other words, identifying wetlands and then ranking them based on their value, their importance. And there were a number of different attributes that they were ranked for. So I'd like to see that, mapping of wetlands and value rankings. Now, with that said, there's 2 options, to have them do it electronically by Granite View, I believe,
Yeah.
and soil types. The other option is field work. And I'm, based on the fact that we have a limited budget, I'm of the belief that we should just do it with the best possible technology without field work.
Is it your belief that our consultant will be able to rank or assign value to these as well?
The Claremont one, if you read it, they assign values to all of them.
It wasn't, but it wasn't coming from the commission. They used the expertise to assign value, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
there's-
what are
there's-
they using, like satellite imageries? They go through,
Yeah, they use Granite View, they
Google-
use
yeah, Google
soil
Earth.
surveys.
yeah, I think they do.
Kind of,
Yeah, I imagine they use other things, you know, if it has natural boundaries, if it has a certain size, you know. if it
Yeah, and
has
they know what's right,
If it's
what's
part
in
of
them.
corridors, I imagine those all factor into the value.
So that would just be a mapping, not just of wetlands, but with a value ranking.
Okay.
I think what we have in the master plan already is watersheds, rivers, and tributaries.
Yeah. A lot of them,
I'll update that.
what I saw, they refer to it as lakes, rivers, and riparian habitat.
Well, that sounds good.
And I think mapping the shoreland protection zone would be good. A map showing that so that it's clearly spelled out, seeing as we have the Sugar River running through town. Anybody else?
We already have in it publicly and privately owned conservation lands.
That's good. To map out.
I imagine we really, we may want to include wildlife habitat of some sort with corridors.
Wildlife corridors have unfragmented blocks
Yeah,
in addition.
That gets to, you know, one of the, you know, seasonal sports, you know, our, you know, hunting community and fishing
Absolutely.
community. I don't know if rare species and that is important as the first go around, but let's put it on the
it's
list.
important. At least native habitat anyways.
Yeah.
So the Warner RFP, just to put this out there, has language in it that says that once the once proposals or bids have been submitted, that we can negotiate price and/or the scope of the project.
All right.
So if we thought that the money was too high, beyond our budget, we could always lop it out.
So there's no reason not to put almost our wish list in and then
Seems like that to me.
pare it
yeah.
down if we need to.
Do it à la carte, like they itemize.
So that we can come back and just say, well, if
Right,
it's 25,000, we gotta lock this out and lock that out.
Is it the Bradford one you're talking about? Or,
I had one from Warner and one from Claremont
oh,
and one from
I didn't give them,
Lancaster.
we got Lancaster,
And Bow?
Bradford, and Bow. Those are the three that I printed out. I thought I printed them all out, but
I've got Claremont, I did give, I think Larry requested the Lancaster, right, or the Fitch,
Williams?
Fitzwilliams.
Bowens. Maybe I'm thinking of Bow instead of Warner. I didn't write it down, so.
well, the Bradford one is very simple. That one's pretty
Where's the
detailed.
Fitzwilliams?
Yeah, I kinda like this one.
Did anyone have the Fitzwilliam one, or no?
This one I thought was pretty good.
I'm not sure what value steep slopes identification is. but,
I think that's a really good idea.
Let's throw that in.
You
It
mean
was mentioned in
terrain?
the master plan of 11 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
know how important.
Along those lines, one of the NRIs I read, it was the Warner NRI that I read.
Yeah.
So that's,
Oh, okay.
okay. So it included south-facing slopes greater than 10% incline. And I don't know why, I'm just putting that out there. And then it had all other slopes greater than 25% incline.
Why the south face?
Because that's what people would develop on.
And I
It's
think
the
you wanna
sun
protect slopes.
slopes more.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't wanna be building on them because you get the issues.
yeah.
And you ruin
Your
the natural resources around it, because you get
Exactly.
yeah, the sliding
I'm
in.
just curious, though, it was 10% on south facing, but 25
I
everywhere
know.
else.
Greater than
That's what I
10%
mean.
on south-facing, yeah.
Other than whether that's
I didn't know,
prime sugaring land or something.
prime development land.
Maybe we just leave it as steep slopes.
I think that's a great
without a
idea.
definition.
Yeah, for now.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
Did we include maps of the shoreline protection zone? Maura, did we already put that in there?
I had written down mapping shoreline protection zone.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then, yeah, shoreline
That's
protection
excellent.
zones, you have steep slopes, then you're talking about terrain, the topographical map, is that what you want, a full one, or just the steep slopes?
I think you'd have to just identify an area.
Yeah,
on
I think
that.
it's, you don't need a full topo. I'm not sure
Okay.
what they produce for you, but they identify areas
Okay.
that are tricky for erosion if they're
Okay.
impacted by our activities.
Did anyone
Right now
mention
you have
the
7
recreation?
items.
No.
Yeah.
Larry
First
mentioned
one,
recreation.
recreational.
Oh, it was, because okay, sorry, because I think I was writing my to-do list. Yeah, because it's kind of, you guys have like way more recreational than like whoever I'm looking at here. I don't even, I guess this is,
That's the Lake Sunapee watershed.
yeah, like your trails and you just have a lot, going on. Road trails, golf courses, watershed.
So do we want to include endangered and threatened wildlife habitat? That makes sense.
Why not at least throw it on the list?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that'd be a good place not to develop, right? I mean, that seems
Yeah,
to me like.
and there is some already identified town where the wood turtle,
oh,
I don't
really?
know if I don't know if the planning and zoning boards are even aware of that. are they?
yeah.
No.
Yeah. No,
Know what I mean?
no.
It did come up at the well presentation.
Oh, really?
Well, there was a quick mention of
Huh,
Yeah, that's right.
well,
So this is up to you, but the unfragmented lands are actually a big deal, especially for like planning board that, and the reason you don't want to chop up your land, you want large pieces that are unfragmented, obviously for natural resources, it's very important to have that in a master plan for protection. If you just start chopping up smaller and smaller, you then lose all your habitats.
Right, that's why we want to identify it.
Did you have that? You had that on the list then?
Unfragmented
Oh,
lands, I believe we
I
call
think-
them. Yeah.
I just, I didn't, okay, I think I'm just gonna stop then. I didn't know you listed that.
How about farmland and forest land resources?
that's good,
That makes sense?
yeah.
Another one I read was unique geological resources. Geologic resources.
I think sort of beside that would be something like vistas, I don't know what the term is, but you know, place, for instance, like the Pinnacle with vistas, what do they call that?
No, this, yeah.
There is a term I've seen at some of the, but unique, you know, views or, you know, I don't know what they called it. But areas with just beauty, you know, sort of natural beauty
Right,
as a attribute.
with the sand pit going in down here, is there some way to, I mean, do you identify future sand pits?
think that-
You know, is that under,
Well, in my mind, that's a geologic resource,
okay,
right? Now, whether or not that is something that maybe other people may not see it that way.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
maybe commercial resources? Because that's a commercial resource.
I know,
Like so is Bald Mountain.
yeah,
They're kind of taking up
Yeah.
exactly,
that and making the
right,
bluestone.
exactly,
Bluestone.
yeah.
So is that
That's the name of
something-
that mountain, is Bald Mountain?
Bald Mountain. Yeah.
And then,
Also the Pike Hill. Did you-
and, yeah, Pike Hill, yeah,
So
and
the-
then the, towers too, the cell towers.
That's on Bald Mountain.
Right? You know, do we want a cell tower on every hill in town? No, you know,
And we don't have anything written to stop that.
no.
There's also, what about, have you thought about the solar arrays? We get like a solar array application every single week for the town of Newport for building. We must have had, I could probably figure out how many we've done.
You might be getting
Everyone's
one from
putting
me
the-
before too long.
Everyone's putting them up everywhere.
Mm.
And that's gotta be, and they're not putting them on the roofs anymore. They're all land. They move around now. People are
Yeah.
spending, I don't even know, it must be huge kickbacks from the federal government, because they're 50,000 or more.
Yeah,
The
they
federal
get some
government's-
substantial tax credits.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming they're getting like an 80%, because I'm like,
30% is the
But-
current.
But,
Okay.
and it's taking up huge swaths.
I know,
The
But
whole
my-
landscape is gonna be filled with these, even.
right,
So
Alan's
the
like
only
a
way to
seasoned-
address that is to identify a parcel of land as being something worthy of protection.
that's right,
And then zoning for that.
That's right.
For that protection.
That's right,
It's crazy,
because-
the solar array things.
Be-
They're filling up
because-
every piece of land.
because we don't want our forests cut down for a solar array. We
Right.
don't want a tower in the middle of a,
There's no way for the animals to
unfragmented-
get, they're running into solar
Right.
arrays.
but we don't want a cell tower on unfragmented land, you know, that's,
Building more arrays over parking lots.
I know, that's what they do in Italy,
Park under 'em.
I know.
On
Oh,
existing
It's already
structures.
land that's,
And they're
Yeah.
usually open. Parking lots are usually open to the sky.
Why don't they put them on power lines? That,
Or they should go back on roofs, but they're not going down the roofs.
but we digress.
yes.
Yeah, I think.
Just a
But-
side note.
Sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
But
This is
somehow
very
to,
generalized important.
somehow to address that issue
The only way I
of, you know.
see that is to identify a parcel of land as being worthy of protection,
And then it's gotta get into the master plan that.
or the
that
zone,
these
go to
are-
the zoning
Right.
group.
Absolutely, the
And
master
zoning.
plan, we've gotta get this into the master plan, and you have a ton to write in that master plan.
Well, the natural nexus from this NRI is to develop an implementation plan.
True,
And part of the implementation is gonna be going to the zoning and asking them to consider
yeah,
changing the zoning.
right.
That's the planning board.
That's the planning board?
It's the purview of the plan,
Sorry.
it sounds weird, because the planning board does the master plans. So in theory, where they know where the town wants to go, they're supposed to then come up, look through their zoning, and if it needs adapting to fit the master plan, they're the one, where zoning kind of just uniquely says, this is the zone, these are the requirements.
So they look at the zoning laws or
Planning
ordinance
board does.
and say whether a project fits or doesn't fit, or,
Zoning
that would be
board
clear.
just allows you to violate the zoning laws or not violate them. That's it. But the planning board
Makes the
zoning
laws, yeah.
And
so the zoning board allows for exemptions from.
it's very, and there are good reasons. Like, it seems ridiculous, because I have like 5 cases this month that are all asking for variances, which is the highest level of infraction. It means it's not allowed and you're asking for it. But a lot of them are like, for example, reductions in required parking spaces for a shopping center.
Suffice it to say, we'll just bring it to the planning board once we've got it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it goes
Yeah.
into,
Good plan.
Thanks.
it goes into the master plan, yes.
All right.
So, I mean, I don't know how we're going to prioritize these, because
That's the,
to me, they're all important.
that'll be, I think, dependent upon like what makes that a unique parcel. Is it just there for, do we want to protect it just because it looks nice?
Yeah,
Or does it harbor a rare
right.
endangered species?
Yeah.
Or is there a wetland there, or?
Well, some of these we're listing here, too. This might, where it might be worth talking to Jeff Littlewood about prioritizing based on inventories he's done in the past.
Right, right.
So Jeff, Jeff actually, this is Claremont's, which he did, this is Claremont's NRI.
Oh,
He has a section on ecologically significant areas. So basically looking at what's out there and what we should focus our attentions on, trying to protect. So to me, that's a logical thing to include, ecologically significant areas. Is that-
Could we have somebody review the list again, read it back
More-
to us what we have so far?
More is keeping the minutes.
And I think that Gunter has been writing them down too.
Oh,
I sure have.
I know.
So why don't you
Okay.
write them up?
My first one I have is recreation lands, wetlands mapping and values ranking,
Yep.
soil types, watersheds, rivers, and tributaries, mapping shoreland protection zone, public and private conservation lands, wildlife habitats and corridors, steep slopes, endangered and threatened wildlife habitat, unfragmented lands, farmland and forest land resources, identify geological resources, ecologically significant areas. Have I missed anything more?
Commercial?
If you say so.
Commercial resources was number 11. Zone for protection against things like solar arrays. Identify land worthy of protection.
can the commercial resources was one more? Can I make that unique geological resources?
You can change it. to
Only
whatever you-
because.
Okay, I have unique geological resources as well.
Yes,
Gunter had put down identify geological resources.
Okay.
So if you want, I think that you were talking commercial, thinking like sand pits, things like
Well,
that.
yeah, I like
was the
that.
general-
I like that.
Because you might want to target those as areas for protection, right? Or they may be,
Right, because,
somebody may focus on that area.
Right.
And it would bring it to our attention that
Right.
that's there.
well, because you have Route 10 and Route 11, areas that are going to be
What do we call-
commercially developed,
Okay,
for,
so how
So-
do they word that?
commercial, how did you word that, commercial?
Commercial resources.
Okay.
Identify future sand pits, let's see, write ordinances for solar arrays, but you were talking about commercial resources and having to do with the NRI, it was, you spoke mostly on identifying areas like with sand pits, because we're seeing that pop up.
So
Yeah.
how about commercial geologic resources? Because those would be geological resources.
Okay. So unique geological resources and commercial
Yeah,
geological?
yeah, that sounds good.
But,
Otherwise,
more-
Gunter did an excellent job.
yeah, Gunther. But I'm more concerned about areas, say Route 10, Route 11 to Claremont,
Mhm.
Route 10 North, those areas, those commercial type areas.
They're zoned commercial, you mean?
Are they?
Well, you know what's interesting, how
Route
this,
10's light industrial, all
Yeah.
the way up to,
Yeah.
I was asking if that's what you were referring to.
Well,
whether they were-
actually,
bizarre to me.
technically.
well, Route 10 North, are you talking?
Yes.
Is light industrial up to like the high school? Well, it's, prior to the high school, it's the professional business district. Then you get an R2 district in there a little, couple.
Uh-huh.
And then you hit light industrial, and then right after the high school, right prior to Morris, you hit rural
Huh.
district.
So can we protect rural?
Well, the issue is here. This is where our zoning is not good. So like when you come up with like a protected area, either a watershed or unfragmented lands, we don't have a conservation district or a forest district. So when they're showing like zoning categories, I think this is in Sunapee, their conservation district for zoning categories is minimum lot acreage has to be 10 acres. And then the forest district is 25 acres. We don't have that. Do you know in our rural district, you can go as low as 40,000 square feet, which is less than 1 acre. And in the rural district, you're allowed to have any animals or farming you want. So how can you have, now of course there's limits based on incubation, but there never should be in a rural district a less than a 1 acre lot. This
Well, I
is
think
where,
that's where
that's
our
where it needs to come in. That's
our
where we
work
need
is
to
cut
change.
out for us.
Right,
There was
exactly.
To
Changes
change
made.
it, we need
Exactly.
new districts.
So if we identify some particular value of the land along Route 10,
Yeah.
Unfragmented land.
that could be, or agricultural, actually,
Right,
that looks to
okay.
me like prime agricultural.
Okay.
Steve, do you have the zoning map
Yeah,
there? The
this is right here where we don't have those.
property heading north, across from the high school, before you get to the airport.
Hold on
Where
one
they're
second, let me
looking
get the zoning maps.
I'm trying to think what that is. I think that was commercial industrial,
Really?
which seems so anti, this doesn't make sense because across the street you have a rural region where
Right,
you're past the high school.
right.
And why would that be? I know you got the old, called BC Connection, that little garage where they got all the trailers now. But that lot where they're looking to do the apartment buildings and the shopping center, and asking for a variance within 100 yards of an airport runway, that kind of flies in the face of common sense too.
But it's zoned,
You're right here, you're in the, which
Yes.
you said was the industrial, which it is. We're talking right here prior to the airport. Oh, I only have one more, you know what, I can make a copy right
Great.
now.
Which is heavy
I don't
commercial?
need this.
Oh, okay.
So that's heavy commercial?
So if you look, the white is rural, and that should definitely be broken up into, all the white is rural. Then So that's areas that allow right now, and I'm gonna double check, but I believe as low as 40,000 square feet.
Right, so if a parcel of land, like up along the old Cornish Turnpike, is shown as being unfragmented wildlife habitat,
You should put it in a new district.
we should try to get that changed to
Right.
a minimum lot size of 20 acres or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, or something like
Yeah.
that, you
So
know.
that property
Well-
I'm speaking about basically sits across the street from what's zoned single family.
Huh,
And yet here you have heavy commercial across the street.
Okay,
Right.
so with that, you cannot hold, you have to, so the zoning board is not allowed to look at another because every district has an end and then there's a new beginning. You cannot fault the district that they're in because they're next to another district. You can't take that into, zoning can't. But I agree, why do you have residentials abutting heavy commercial? I fully agree with you.
Well, our master plan also speaks as far as entries into the community.
Yeah,
And where you're coming, say if you're coming into Newport from the northern Route 10, you have the airport, you have, residential, then you have the high school. Why
Rural.
would you want,
and you have.
Heavy
right,
commercial.
it recommends having a nice entry.
Right.
Why
Right.
You have these big apartment buildings and a shopping center right there,
exactly,
which it conflicts with the master plan.
exactly.
Is my opinion.
Well, in theory, the residential apartments don't, because that's residential. But I know what you're saying. Yes, a
And they're
large
asking-
one.
And they're asking for a variance within 100 yards of an airport runway.
They're asking
flies in the
for
face
a,
of
yes,
common sense.
reduction they're asking for a variance of a height, yes, a height
Yes.
requirement, which they haven't been given yet. They haven't been approved for it, so,
Okay, well, it
Right.
doesn't make any
Where-
sense to me at all, sorry.
Where did the
That's
shopping
right.
center come in?
Uh,
That complex is supposed to have commercial,
if
not
this is
just,
the-
not just apartments, but some shops.
yeah, well, Linda, if this is the property you're looking at, rectangle.
Yeah,
The first residential building would be here,
yeah,
second one here, and the plaza would be there. I
Oh.
think that's roughly how it was laid out.
huh,
It's
Maybe
contrary
you
to
all
what I
seem to
was
be
thinking.
going that way. I noticed in Lebanon, a lot of developments are apartment buildings with commercial,
huh.
you know, for
it
use by
makes
the
it so they
residents.
can walk, so you don't
Yeah.
have a car.
Exactly.
At least you don't have to use one at night, you might still have one, but you could have hair salons, urgent care centers,
Yeah.
gas stations. Yeah, I haven't seen that plan, that's never been shown to me, I know it's been shown to the airport. Are you on the airport advisory committee? Is that how you've seen it?
No, actually.
I've never
well,
seen it.
I downloaded the airport master plan from years ago, and in that airport master plan, they were looking to purchase that property.
Well, why the hell didn't they?
I'd have to talk to someone that's
It
involved,
sold for
but I
a
think
buck 25.
It sold very inexpensive.
Oh my God, it was.
Well, we
cheap.
all should have pitched in and bought it.
17-acre lot,
Yeah.
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
The one across basically from,
My house.
I told,
yes,
I
yeah.
What
told the guy
happened
no.
was, Mr. Ruger Senior wanted to build another shop. And he had, he stated that he wanted it, to put it there. So they changed zoning to
Zoning
that
to-
lot.
oh, I see.
oh, so, okay.
That
But
makes-
the
that makes
caveat
sense.
was, that he was gonna have to extend the water main down to the airport. The airport commission said, if you want that, we'll help you. But Mr. Sagiotis was there and he said, yeah, we want water down to the airport.
And they got it.
And they put
That's,
it
they
in.
have it. That's how that's ridiculous. Oh, whatever.
So is that lot,
Small
that
town.
lot across the street, Route 10 from you is, if I'm reading this correctly, it's rural, right?
They're,
It's zone
they're,
rural.
they're rural and, heavy, is it heavy or light?
Heavy commercial.
How do you see that?
Yeah, they're
I'm just
both.
seeing
They-
rural,
the-
and
it's-
that's another lot.
I think it's gray.
This is the lot right here we're talking about, to the airport,
No,
right here.
this
Yeah,
is,
It's
the-
area-
gray.
this is the lot, right?
That's the lot right there, it's, see,
Which street do you live on now?
Alan,
She lives on
Allen's
Allen
right
Street.
across
That's-
the street.
It's right across the street and it's
so the property's zoned
rural.
rural? And they're
No, it's both. It's both, that's what, it's both. So right here, I can map out the property.
Is that the property?
Is, yes, right here. Do you see how they have the gray?
Yep,
They're allowed to do both. What's that black thing in
That's
there?
my ink.
Oh, that's right. Oh, sorry. I'm like, is that wetlands?
It's a roadside
I'm like,
fence.
I'm like, are those
Wetlands.
wetlands? That's what I was
That's
thinking.
wetlands, yes.
If those are damn wetlands right in the middle, so no, I thought they were wetlands.
But the
This is
building
their property.
But the building is proposed here, which is
They got
clearly
a
residential.
they got a variance
Oh,
for
a
that.
variance, jeez, from rural to heavy commercial.
Oh, wow.
Well, from rural to allow, rural does not allow multi-unit residential. It's not commercial. Right now, they're putting in residential. So
So an
they
apartment
didn't
building
ask
is
for a-
considered residential?
Well, it's a rent, it's, in theory, it's a business renting it to people, but it's residential housing
Yeah, but
going in. But
from
they
what
had
I'm
to
seeing
get a
from this map,
variance.
that's a rural, that's zone rural.
They had to get a variance. One thing I will say, most of Newport is listed rural. I should pull out the rural zoning code for you guys to review. 90% of Newport is one zone, and I don't feel it's protected at all. I think you can subdivide down to 1 acre. And that means you will have no unfragmented land eventually.
Right, well, so we got that,
I-
we got our work cut out for us.
It's
Yeah.
the
First we gotta get
rural.
the NRI
You should
done.
really just concentrate
Yeah.
on all that
Should we
rural.
finish that up?
Yeah.
so are we done?
So we have a
Well, the
list?
list, I think it's
Yep.
a list
So
of,
now that's preliminary, right? That's
Yes.
what we decided, that was preliminary.
What if you asked the people, what the building block, what are the top 5 building blocks? Are we, like, should you
I've
ask-
got, this is from the UNH Cooperative Extension
and they said that's the
NRI
top
Development
10?
Handbook.
And they said those are the top 10 or
Yeah,
something?
they included
Oh,
climate conditions and projections.
what's
as one of the-
climate?
I guess it's looking at potential for flooding, I don't know. I'm just telling you what's on there. Zoning and tax map parcels to be included. I'm not sure what that means
We
either.
already have
I
that.
think we've got a good start with the list we have, and we can negotiate further if we write the RFP correctly. So
Yeah.
the next step, once we have our list, if we've decided on our list, the next step is to develop an RFP. Does anybody have ideas on how to go about doing that?
I could
Have
find
you written
out.
RFPs?
No, because I don't.
They're
ever
pretty
have to-
standard, Ken said.
I've purchased
Yeah.
things as long as they're under 25.
They're kind of
I've gotten
variable
them.
though, to the, like I looked today at both Bose and Lancaster's.
RFPs.
Yeah,
I like Lancaster.
they call them RFQPs. So it's a combination of request for qualifications and request for proposals.
Yeah, and I
Huh.
think it allows them to pass on the company if their qualifications don't meet whoever decides. It sounds like it's a little more open.
Well, I think they have to
Interpretation.
present what they've done.
I
Before.
believe too that
Yeah.
What makes them qualified to do that
Yes.
job?
at the select board meeting we attended a couple, 3 weeks ago, I think we were told that there are templates that the town can
Yes.
offer us to get this written.
Well,
That's what Ken said.
I asked Hunter if there was a template that the town uses, and he said, you'd have to dismantle it for this. So he basically was telling us, no.
I would get it anyway and then see.
That's the
We
way
get
I,
the template.
is there any reason why we couldn't use one? Frankly, this is a template because it actually has the word, the town of Lebanon listed in one location. So they took Lebanon's.
They didn't edit it correctly. If you said, if
So
you
that's,
said
I'm
that
not suggesting we do that,
I know.
but why can't we,
Why not?
why can't we use this as a template?
There's really no reason for us to reinvent this.
That's right.
No,
Yes.
no, it's a
Right.
form, so if you sent that to me, I could get rid of everything, add the Newport where it's supposed to be, and then you guys fill in do you fill in the detail on this RFP?
Do we?
So like, I just do the outline, yeah, I could clean one up and give, and do.
I don't know if I have a copy that you can edit.
Well, I could just, even if you just sent me so I could see it, no, I just.
Well, I
retract
can
that.
send it to you.
Yeah,
I
and
may
then
have.
I'll just outline it, that this is a This is an RFQ. Okay, so you have the intro. Yeah, I'll just give you guys the outline and then we'll start filling it in.
I mean, what we could do, and I think we need to set ourselves a deadline, is if we get this,
This is a long RFQ.
Yeah. there's a lot in there that maybe even redundant, but
Okay, so let me do the outline though. All I need is all the dark things. And then you guys, I don't know, do you need all of that information? Let me send that to me so I can
the Lancaster one, as Gunther noted, is brief,
Okay.
but I think there are things in here, in this Bow one, that
Yeah.
could be included. So it's kind of, it'd be nice to blend the two.
Well, Don, you could write it too. I don't have, you just write the outline. It's just the the outline.
Larry, you good at writing?
If you send me those copies, we'll see what we can do.
You
Yeah,
should
just
have-
mimic
You should
them.
have it,
You sent
Oh,
me
yeah.
by email.
the bow and the,
Want mine?
So it was from the NHACC.
was,
I forwarded an email from her,
all right,
and at the bottom there were or actually like 4 attachments. 2 of them were,
Yeah.
these RFPQs.
okay.
So we could just basically use that as a template. Or include our list of specific items. And we need to put a deadline by which they have to respond, which we have to come up with at some point, but.
Do we want a timeline for how we're gonna get this done now in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I think we need a timeline by which to have our draft. How does 2 weeks sound to you?
2 weeks is doable, I'll be away a good deal of next week, so.
2 weeks, or do you want 3?
No, 2,
Okay.
I'll have a laptop.
You can't vote on it, or you can't you can't discuss, you can definitely have it all drafted up and even change the draft, but then it has to be discussed and looked at and voted on at the next meeting anyways.
Yes,
Or at the next special meeting, if you
Exactly.
really wanna
Yeah,
push it
The
along.
same thing, yes.
right, so if we were to have a special
Yeah.
meeting with,
You would wanna
Or
wait till the
no-show.
5th then.
then we.
Then
could-
you wanna wait till the 5th.
Yeah, how about 3 weeks now?
Okay,
All right.
For
So
the
then-
special meeting, the 5th?
Do you guys all, I'm
we're
gonna,
excuse me, just 1 second.
sure.
If Larry can draft it, send it out by email.
Yep.
If everybody can comment rapidly,
Okay,
within a few days preferably, and then we can get comments back to Larry, he can make edits. If there is agreement on the edits, go ahead, what do you?
No,
Oh,
go ahead,
okay.
you're on a roll.
Okay.
Yep.
So that we can have this wrapped up within a month.
Yeah.
And if we have, so the meeting to vote on this is going to come when we have agreement on it, on the final draft.
That may be close to the next regular.
Yeah, the next
schedule
regular
Anyway, but
And then they can
I
all be
think that'd
sent
be good.
out.
I'll try to get it back.
If we have it by the next regular meeting, I think, a final draft,
Yeah,
it's not gonna take long to mail it out, is it?
No, I could have them, I mean, I could easily mail them the following day. I think what you could come up with, oh, maybe not today, come up with four or five people. I mean, if I'm just mailing them and
We'll have a
typing.
list of them, yep,
Yeah, I would send out to more maybe than even just, why keep it to 3 if
yeah.
you might
Oh,
like,
God, sure.
yeah, and
This-
we
that
just
list-
change who it's going to.
That list included, their heading is NRI and Conservation Plan Consultants. So if these all do NRIs, there's, what is there, 5 on this page? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we've got plenty to choose from.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm familiar with,
FP,
Oh,
Moosewood.
That's actually on the bottom of that email too.
yeah,
Yep.
ecosystems management consultants. I'm somewhat familiar, Rick Vanderpool has been presenting at these online presentations. He seems pretty sharp, so
Okay,
I think
so that's 3.
together.
Yep.
and if I can get the Forest Society to tell me that they do it.
Yeah, that would be
Because
cool.
I thought the one they did was very good. So the RFP, whatever their response is, should include examples of their work. It's something we need to,
Okay.
which I believe, I mean, that actually is included in the qualifications.
I would think.
Their qualifications would be like, okay, I've done this, I've done that, and here's an example of it.
So our deadline probably would be the April. We'd have to have them by our May meeting, April-May meeting.
You would want to have
Them-
some kind of drafting of them and voted on to get sent out during April.
Yeah, I think
No,
our next,
but no, for them to return,
Yeah, and then return by the May
Right.
meeting.
yeah, that
you know.
doesn't leave us a lot of time.
no,
And then you vote on who you're picking in the May meeting.
yes,
So then they
yeah,
can send an invoice in the June meeting
they'd,
Yeah.
for you to
we'd
approve.
have to,
Well, who draws up the contract?
Well, that's, I think, easy enough to just draw up what they're gonna, the details, exactly what we're paying and exactly what they're gonna do. They would, it's just really sending up an invoice, there virtually, and signing it, that they're doing this, this, and this for this
We just
month.
want to allow time for that, is all I'm thinking.
I mean, some of that administrative work, they're gonna tell you, eventually in April or May, you're gonna come up, well, I guess in May, after you get all the quotes back, you're then gonna come up with deciding on finale of what you actually can get for whatever amount. I guess,
If we're gonna have
Paul
negotiations.
probably does that.
that's gonna take
oh,
some-
and then negotiations with them.
The more I think about it, Larry, the more we're gonna need like two-week turnaround time.
I don't know how you
Because
do
our May meeting is May
I have
17th.
If we can do that.
You already sent that to me, right?
I did, but I'll be happy to send it to you again if you like.
Just to be sure, and if somebody could send me the list of our, our interests,
That'll be in the minutes, right?
yeah.
Can you do
But before
negotiations
the minutes of
outside
that,
of a
in the
meeting?
next, over the next
You're
day
gonna
or two,
have
either more.
There's
Yeah,
no
we're gonna
way
have-
to
Yeah,
negotiate.
that's why we
Well,
need to move quickly on
It
this.
will
We're gonna
have,
need
the
that.
minutes have to be done within
No.
5 business days, so
Just-
I will have that list. Unless Gunther
Why don't
wants
you
to just give that to you tonight.
or tomorrow?
I think you're gonna have to do the negotiations outside of a public forum, which means then
Easy
you
enough.
could do them any day of, you don't have to wait months and months.
If that's legal, is that legal?
I'm pretty sure that's, and then someone just does the negotiations, and then if you negotiate with a few, you bring back that information here to them, because they're not gonna want you publicly discussing the amounts anyways.
Well, we could have a subcommittee that does, because their rules of procedure allow us to have like a subcommittee.
Not in the purview, right, because there's just no way you're gonna be able to do this in public meetings, because what, we're gonna call them tonight to negotiate? You
No,
know,
we gotta move quickly.
you're gonna have to do it outside of the public meeting.
This is important, because if we miss this,
Yeah.
we may miss our opportunity. So Larry, if there's anything comes up, I'd be more than happy to.
This will be my finest hour.
But I don't think you
Okay,
should worry
Churchill.
about the negotiating. You can fit that in and not wait for each meeting.
If there's any reason why you have
Excuse me,
a hold up,
Linda?
let me know.
Yeah, no, sure.
I'll take it over.
We're heading out of town on
If
the
you did
weekend, but.
the
Yeah, I'll have to
contracting
downtown, I have
with
my laptop
Meadow
with me,
Send,
If
Yeah,
I
do
had
they do it?
a copy that you could
What?
edit,
you were in charge of that, or you were a
that'd be a
part of
lot
that
easier than
team?
writing.
Yeah, but I don't remember how we did that.
Oh,
We
okay.
didn't do an
I
RFP.
can sort of scan
No,
it
you
into a
didn't.
PDF, you mean?
Well, if you had this in Word,
And you only got
Yeah.
you
one,
could just edit this,
One what?
a
take the
response.
appropriate names out, you
You,
know,
and
out and put in the
contact
appropriate
us.
names.
I
Make sure you
did.
don't- Make sure you get rid of
And so you
lemon.
just went
And you only
Yeah.
got one
I
response.
think
No,
know
I
how to
went
do
to
that.
them.
No,
No.
I'll scan it in
No, I didn't put that out.
and then cut and paste it into a Word document and then it can edit.
That'd be great.
Because we used our own
That'd be
money.
the fastest way to do it, rather than
Oh,
rewriting the whole thing.
You got that printed, but I borrowed
Yeah, I think it was
that printed
13,
one.
and
You
then
have
I
it, it's got
think,
notes all
didn't the
over it.
water department pay us
As
some?
long as-
They were
yeah.
supposed to pay
Yeah,
us
you need
something
They reimbursed.
'Cause I-
for
I'll get
the,
this back to you
Gilman
tomorrow.
Pond.
Gilman
I just go
Pond,
home and scan it in, so I've got it
Didn't
on
we
my
get that money?
computer.
That's what we have to start
Well,
looking
I
at,
can
making sure.
Send it to you tomorrow
They
morning,
did.
first thing.
Like, do you know what I mean? We need to see like the detail.
I'll make a point of getting it to you
Well, I
tomorrow.
On what
probably
went in
have it
and out,
anyway,
do you
you
know what I
said.
mean?
I sent it
Yeah,
out,
I did
yeah.
that, to make sure you didn't
yeah,
lose
but
it.
Paul will.
Oh, will,
Yeah.
There was
absolutely.
quite a bit of
We
information
just
on
haven't
that.
seen it. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I move to adjourn.
So, seconded. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
More or
Linda's
less.
adjourned anyway.